What is up, Paint Fam? Wow, just want to show you guys here. I prepared some notes for you guys, and as I prepared notes, I literally did 2 takes. And why am I talking about that already? Why am I talking about 2 takes and talking about the episode? I'm overthinking it. This is probably one of the second solo episodes that I'm doing, and I always operate better knowing that I'm just going to do it. Just literally speak off of what I feel, speak off of things that I want to go off of. So that's why I am just now, I got rid of the notes, I turned off the screen if you guys are watching, and I want you to just listen in and tune in. I want to talk about scarcity and mentality. What's the scarcity mentality? The scarcity mentality is that you're overthinking. The scarcity mentality of you just thinking too much about your process, thinking too much about what processes you need, thinking too much about how perfect the job needs to be before you actually go out and give that bid. The scarcity mentality of how perfect all of these production rates need to be, how perfect all of the paint lineups, the good, better, best need to be, how perfect all of these things need to be before you go out there. And guess what, guys? You are literally going to paralyze yourselves. Guys, I'm here to tell you today that when you get rid of this scarcity mindset and you just go out there and go get it and build it while you're running, I promise you, you're going to figure it out. You're going to be in a good place. You're going to see the right people. You're going to be in the right groups. You're going to be taken care of, guys, if you ask the right questions. What do I mean by asking the right questions? Well, first things first is this. When you do an audit, I want you guys to write that down. How often do I audit myself? And what do I mean by that? When you audit yourself, where did I get a physical response when I kept thinking about the scarcity mentality? That physical response, am I feeling it in the chest? Am I feeling it in my neck? Am I feeling it in my head? What's it doing? Is it overtaking my thought process, my logic, and then making me want to get back on the brush, and then making me want to go do the things that I took so long to get off of? I want you guys to think about that. Super important to get rid of that scarcity mentality. What do I keep pushing the audit? Because the audit is super important for you guys to pay attention to self. When you don't pay attention to self, you start making other decisions that hurt the rest of your team. It actually overflows into their day-to-day. It overflows into their scarcity mindset because that's what you're pushing on to them. I hope you guys are ready for today because I love talking about mindset. And let me tell you something, guys. There's always going to be a problem. There's always something that comes up. But the thing is how do you react to it? What processes do you have in place to help you with the reaction? And that's where I want to touch base today about proactivity. What can you do to be proactive to get rid of the reactions? First thing is I always teach is TLC, time management, listening, and coaching. Some of you that have been on my calls will actually listen to this, have done this before. I'm going to dissect it a little bit more on today's call. And what do I mean by that? Time management. What can you do to sit down to foresee these issues before these issues actually happen? Well, production. Production's the number one cause, isn't it? When you guys sit down and go over every line on every job jacket, what kind of product do we need? How many gallons do we need? What is the right crew to be on the right job? Those are things you can do proactively so you don't have to overreact the following week when something happens. What else can you do with time management? How often am I actually looking at the reports, the data tracking my teams, and actually reviewing their behaviors and then being able to correct them? That's in time management, right? So if you guys are sitting down and actually proactively paying attention to the future, paying attention to what's going to happen, paying attention to what possibly can happen, I'm telling you, you guys are setting yourself up for success. That gets rid of that scarcity mentality. Those what ifs. Well, those what ifs come in because you have no security or clarity. That's why time management is super important for you guys to lock in. So the thing that I like to talk about with time management too is paying attention to your people. How often are they doing the same thing over and over and over again? Audit that. Write it down. How can you coach them to become better at their position? How can you coach them to be better at whatever things they're trying to achieve in life? That's time management. Or maybe you're the estimator as well and you're paying attention to what type of client you're about to work on. Well, did you relay that message to your teams? Hey, this person is particular. This is what I foresee being an issue. Make sure you guys pay attention to these things. They highlighted this issue and they wanted us to be super focused on maybe the trim work. Are you guys effectively listening to that? And then sending that information over to your teams so that they're prepared. Now, don't get me wrong, we should treat every customer the same, meaning top to bottom, 100% with accuracy, precision. However, if you have some sort of data that you already know, share that with your team. Super important. So that's part of being proactive. Now, if you also notice too, like your time management with ordering paint, making sure it's set up for delivery, anything like that could be very helpful as well. So something to think about as well on that. The next thing is how are you preparing your sales team? Are you guys doing a huddle? Meaning checking in the morning, seeing how well they're doing on their goals, making sure that they're still on track to hit their goals. Don't be the owner that waits at the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the year to then correct. Remind yourselves, guys, we're on TLC and we're talking about the audit still. So you want to correct quickly. I like to correct daily. So I like at the end of the day, every single day, I want to check an audit of my day. How did I feel? What made me feel better than most things, right? How many conversations did I have to repeat myself? How many conversations gave me energy? I pay attention to those things and I want to replicate that as much as possible. So I hope that's helpful for you guys on the T. Now the L, the listening side of things. Are you guys listening to your team? Are you listening to your spouses? Are you listening to your clients? Are you listening to the stores? Super important, right, guys? Is paying attention to that. Effective listening. I know those of you that have heard this, it might be a repeat, but there's some new viewers and listeners on here that need to hear this. 80% of listening is body language. The other 10% are the literal words coming out of your mouth, and the last 10% are the sighs, the ahas, the... Don't ignore those things, guys. Super important, okay? So make sure you write that down. Listening is a second skill set I think you guys should really hone in on and practice. And then C, it means coaching. What kind of coaching program are you putting in place for your business? Okay. Now, when you guys hear us coaches talking, you think we're talking about a process that you need. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when's the last time you sat down with your clients or as simple as your painters and asked them what their personal goals are. You guys, in order to run a good organization, you need to know what your people are trying to achieve. Your entity is the vehicle to get them there. So if you ask them those questions, it's really going to help you streamline and be able to use your business as the vehicle to get them to those goals. That's coaching. Every day you go to a job site, what are you focusing on? What are you looking for? That's coaching, right? Does your guys need help on cut-ins or rolling the wall properly or knowing the preparation or setting up the job site properly or even looking the part, wearing the right uniforms? That's coaching. Asking them questions. How can you help them be more efficient? That's coaching, right, guys? But always ask them what are their personal goals so you can attach those personal goals and drive them through your business. Super important. So that's TLC. I really truly believe if you guys can hone into 3 actual skill sets, it will help your business. It will help your relationships. It will help all types of things for your leadership. So TLC, not tender loving care, time management, listening, and coaching. 3 main skill sets I want you guys to hone in on today. And remember, we call that auditing. When you audit and you attach those 3 skill sets, you'll be able to execute the things that you're trying to seek, okay? The next phase I want to talk about today for mindset is principles. Did you guys identify your principles yet? If you've not identified your core values, principles, it's going to be very difficult for you to make any kind of decisions moving forward. What do I mean by that? You have to remember, as owners, it's very difficult to manage self. So what kind of managerial systems do you have in place? Well, tell you what, once I built out my principles, my core values, I know how to make the right decisions. I don't need to go anyone for that. I go to self for that. Super important. So build out your principles. And how do I simplify that? I would say for you guys, what are some things that are just some non-negotiables for you guys that you feel like if someone just broke this, it'd be really hard for you to come back from? And what's the vision of your company? What do you guys stand for? What does that look like? I think that's important too to identify. When you guys have a clear map with your business, guess what happens to your teams? They have a clear vision as well. I think that's important to identify. So, next phase. What else for mindset? Maybe there's some doubt. I want you guys to take a moment and think about why you even started your painting company. I want you to identify, why did I do this? And when you guys think about that, start to remind yourselves where you first started and where you're at today. I think a lot of people forget where they started, where they came from. And the mindset plays tricks, right? They start going, well, I'm not feeling so well, or I'm not doing so well, and they forget they're doing $200,000 a month. Not many people are able to achieve that, or have even seen that in their business. But yet we forget because we're so go, 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 and we're so focused on wanting to scale our businesses that we forget where we started at zero. We forget where that starting line was to where we are today. And we start putting these self-limiting belief systems and this doubt in our minds. I always like to look back to where I first started. I go, wow, I've come a long ways. Now, guys, it's super important to go back to those times. Remember that first self-doubt you had when you were like, I don't know if I could even do this without a production manager, or I don't know if I could even do this without a sales rep. I think I have to do everything myself. Take a step back. Go back to that audit, right? Be grateful. Really step into that. Slow down for a moment to speed up. When you guys slow down, you're able to see things. And then it allows you to speed up. What do I mean by that? You start to problem solve. You start to stop going with the first thing that came to your mind. All of these things are super important. You start to really navigate through some obstacles that might have taken you away from making the right decisions. So I want to map out something for you guys today, and I really want you to focus on this today. First things first is this. Map out your morning routine. I always call it the success morning routine. What does that look like? Map it out. Is it just getting a coffee and walking your dog and enjoying the morning for a little walk? Is it a cold plunge? Is it the gym? Is it reading a chapter in a book? Is it as simple as just writing 3 things down that you're grateful for? Maybe it's calling a friend. There's so many different things you can do, but I want you to build out your success routine every morning. What does that look like? Audit that. Sit back and think about that a little bit for a while. See what that looks like. Then after your success routine, map out what your day should be like. We call that first things first. What are your priorities first? And then everybody else is secondary. But map that out. Those of you that follow me, you know I talk about this. It's called block scheduling. But if you don't write it down and actually block it off and say, hey, these are the things I want to achieve. This is the lifestyle I want to live. You're never going to achieve it. So no wonder why you have doubt. No wonder why you think scarcity, right? And you go, well, what about this? If I'm not at the job site, what's going to happen? Well, what's going to happen if you didn't make the right decisions first thing in the morning for the other 5 job sites? All because you're stuck at one. What's going to happen? Think about that, guys. Listen, it's just as important to plan and put tasks together and figure this all out together before executing. Take a step back. Audit. Audit, audit, audit. Now, here's the cool part. I'm giving you guys certain plays, right? And I think it's super important. And I keep pausing because sometimes you guys are just waiting for something spectacular, something crazy to come out. But the pause is just as important to let you think, let it settle in, and then take action. So I'm going to recap that success routine. Write it out, map it out. Then what's your first things first? Your priorities. Also schedule the times and days you're going to coach your teams. Schedule your workouts. Schedule the things you want to focus on, right? Schedule the times you need to do your paint orders. Schedule the times you need to do follow-ups with your customers. Be proactive. These are helpful tools that are going to help you make better decisions so that you're not trying to put fires out that were created because of your lack of proactivity. Hope that's helpful. What else on mindset? What else do I see in our industry? Sales. I would say, do you guys believe you could sell more than 30% close rate? I know you can. We've done it. Past 60% plus. Why do you have that mentality? Well, maybe be a process thing. Maybe, I don't know, you haven't done enough role play. Maybe it's been because you haven't studied enough. Maybe it's because you already think you can't do it. And I love this quote. I always say, if you say you can or can't, either way, you're right. Maybe just shift that mindset and say, yes, I can do 40%. Yes, I can do 50%. Yes, I can do 60%. Why not me? It's another great question. Why not me? Man, so many things that happen that I listen to on a day-to-day basis. But I think it's important for you guys to start believing in yourselves. I think it's super important for you guys to start saying, hey, I am going to gather the data. I'm going to listen to certain episodes. I'm going to take action. I'm going to sit there and literally take away one thing each podcast, one thing each time that I go to a coaching lesson, one thing each time that I go into some sort of network meeting, one thing each time that I go to a job site, one thing each time that I talk to a friend, one thing each time that I talk to a painter, one thing each time that I go to a store, whatever it is, if you can grab one little thing and then take action, I promise you guys, you're going to see success. You're going to get through that noise. You're going to cut through all those things, the distractions, and see the wins. But first, you got to grab it, write it down, see it, and then take action. Super important, guys. Super important. Why do I always talk mindset? Because it always starts with the mind. Until you can shift your mind, you can't shift the actions. Because how do you take action on something you can't think about? It all starts up here first. So focus on the framework of your mind and what you believe, the belief system that you have, and then write it down so that you can see it. And once you write it down, again, you take the action, you'll be able to start seeing it and moving it forward. Super important, guys. Trying to give you guys some tools right now. I know some people struggle with mindset. They overthink it sometimes. If you're that person that overthinks, write down, journal. Write it down. It's okay, guys. Don't fear what is the truth. Don't fear what you're thinking. And then when you put it on paper, honestly, I believe it or not, you're going to feel better that you wrote it down. Sometimes you have this chaos that's in your mind because you're overthinking, overprocessing. And then when you write it down, you're like, oh, wow, that was pretty simple. I actually can do this thing and it'll make this thing better. Keep it simple, right, guys? So have a process. If you're overthinking, having way too much going on in your mind, write it down. It's okay to take a step back, guys. I'm telling you, I'm authorizing you. I'm letting you know it's okay to take a moment. It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to sit back and think so you can execute and crush it. If there's one thing you can take away from today's pod episode is, it's okay. We're with you. We've been there. Or we're currently going through the same thing you're thinking. Or possibly going through. It's okay. But take a step back, audit. See where you are, write it down. Bring clarity by the write out. Bring clarity by writing it down. I hope that's helpful for you guys today. I know it wasn't very paint specific, but I want you to get through the mind. I want you to cut through the noise. Guys, and also don't forget, I know we're all in the busy season. It's summertime, I get it. But don't forget about all the things that worked for you in the wintertime. Just because you're busy, don't forget about those steps. Don't forget how it took to get to where you're at, right? Focus on that. Audit it. See where it takes you. All right, guys. Well, I don't want to put you in too much thought process today. I hope you were able to take one little nugget out of today's call, and hopefully you're able to apply it and then see the wins. It is simple. Try not to overthink your process. Write it down. Find clarity. Take action. I've said that like 3 or 4 times already. And those of you that have listened to this, give me some feedback. I'd like to hear about what you took away. Send me a DM. Find us on Paint Your Path Pod on Instagram. Send us a DM. Anything you guys are wanting us to discuss, let us know. You guys have 2 great minds combined on these calls, right? You've got a process guy and you got a mindset guy. Take advantage of that. Let us know what's going through your mind. What are your struggles? What do you want to focus on? We'll do it for you. We'll talk about that on the episode. We'll get excited to give you guys some sort of gems for free. That's our ask. Give us the questions so we can get you guys the answers. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Man, I'm super excited to hear about your feedback, but don't forget, mindset is actually quite easy. Get rid of the chaos. How do you get rid of the chaos? You write it down. You see the clarity. Then you execute. God bless you guys. Don't forget, if you strive to be 1% better each day, at the end of 100 days, you'll be 100% better than when you first started. At the end of 300 days, you're 300x on your return. Go crush the week. Hit me up if you guys have any questions. Make it a great day.